Hello everyone. I am here tonight with Sharon Perelman, Director of Planned Giving at the Jewish Federation of Pittsburgh, and Dr. Betty Jo Louik Hirschfield, a Temple member and past president, and also a legacy donor at Temple. And I'm sorry, it's Betty Jo Hirschfield Louik. I reversed that. We're here tonight to talk about the Life and Legacy program. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Sharon, if you can start us off talking about why the Federation brought the Life and Legacy program to Pittsburgh and how it has grown since its inception in 2018.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me, Leslie, and thank you for helping to spearhead the program for Temple. We really appreciate it. It's been a great 2 years, and Temple met its goal both years, which is really great. So I think it's been a great collaboration. This was a program that we heard about for many years before we brought it to Pittsburgh. We really weren't sure that it was going to be able to work here. There was some concern about whether there was really an interest in pursuing endowment giving. I think there's every synagogue and every agency has to raise money every year, and would they be able to raise the money they needed currently while still talking to people about leaving a legacy in the community? That was a big concern. And then we were approached by a couple different executive directors who said, we really want to do this program and we want to work together and we want to get it going. So we got a grant from the Federation Foundation, and we brought it to Pittsburgh, and we signed up 13 agencies the first year, and now we have 19 total in the second year. That includes 6 synagogues and 13 agencies and 6 synagogues. I can do the math. So it's been great. I mean, I think basically the point of this program is to focus on the future. It's to just ask people if they would consider leaving a legacy in the community for something that they really care about. And for a lot of people, I think what they care about is the place where they had all their life cycle events. It's the synagogue. It's where they had their baby namings and their bar mitzvahs and their confirmations and their weddings. And it's not something that I think a lot of synagogues are focused on, to say, would you ever consider doing an after lifetime gift and leaving something for your children and grandchildren to ensure that they have the same experiences that you've been able to have. So that's the point of it. It's all about paying it forward. And I think if you think about, had we done this 40 years ago and asked more people to do this, like what a great place we would be in right now. If we had raised $5 million then, there would be $250,000 a year that would just be available to do amazing things, whether it was to subsidize memberships or to do more programs or whatever it is. So it's a really great thing, and we're happy to be able to work with you on it.
That's great. Yeah, we, when we were approached as well, it was an interesting time for us because we were just getting ready for our rabbinic transition after 34 years. And we had so many balls juggling up in the air, but we couldn't pass up the opportunity to do it. So as you said, we've met our goal, and Betty Jo is one of the people who was one of our early adopters to join the Legacy Society. So Betty Jo, can you share with us why you felt it was important to become a legacy donor and also to join our legacy team as well?
Sure, I'd be happy to. As many of you know or might not know, but I have been a lifelong member of Temple Emanuel. In fact, my parents and grandfather were founding members to the congregation. And my family was very involved in the synagogue, and then my husband and I became very involved in the synagogue. And now my son and daughter-in-law and their 2 girls are very involved in the synagogue. And that's made a profound difference in our lives in so many ways. But what I felt so strongly about was even if somebody is new to our congregation, that they too should feel that the synagogue plays a central role in their life, and it becomes part of their community, and it becomes so important to them. And so I consider it a legacy gift just to be able to support that for other people who couldn't join the congregation and feel that same sense of community and that vitality, and how powerful it is to be part of something that just defines how you live.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sharon, can you share what it means to make a legacy gift, and how kind of how that works, and what people's options might be if they're considering that?
Yeah, I'm gonna share a screen. I will talk about how to do it, but I also just kind of want to show you the impact of it and how it's, I think you asked me that before, like how it's grown over just 2 years. The Grinspoon program that we partnered with between the Grinspoon Foundation and the Federation, we've invested $300,000 a year for 4 years into this program. So let me just pull it up and I'll run through it quickly. Okay, can you see it?
There it is.
Okay. So this is just really what the program is, that it's a 4-year program, and we work to build endowments after lifetime giving, which generally is through wills. And how it's done is we bring in experts from the Grinspoon agency who run training programs, Leslie, that you've been to. There have been, I don't know if Betty Jo's been to any yet, but it's about five training programs a year about how to approach people and how to explain what, you know, the case for giving. We in the foundation who have planned giving background are there to support you through the process. And then when you reach your goals, there's a monetary incentive that you can earn, and there's a celebration at the end of the year. And you know, if everybody would do a little bit, it's not, it can make a real big difference. Now let's see if I can get to the next slide. It's not working. Let's see. I'll have to do it this way. Okay, so just so you get an idea, the 19 partners and the 6 congregations, here's a list of all the participating agencies. And one of the things that's kind of a nice thing about this program is it's not about competing with each other. It's about working together as partners, sharing stories about, you know, what's motivating people, who's doing what kinds of things would benefit by having somebody sponsor it or create a fund. I mean, you know, funds can be created for all different kinds of things. It doesn't have to be, you know, I think a lot of people think about it like a university having honoring an incredible professor with a chair, and it costs $2 million. Well, you can do an endowment for $10,000 through your will. So you're not, you don't even have to part with the money during your lifetime, and you can take that money and sponsor. You know, I was thinking, do they still at Simchas Torah give out chocolate bars and apples? You know, that could be your endowment if that was a particularly great memory for you. So whatever you'd like to see continue and be there for generations to come. And then in terms of how we've done, this is the national update. So basically after 7 years of this Grinspoon program being in existence, they've amassed 63 communities with 630 partnering agencies. So that's all the agencies and synagogues who are part of those communities participating. And they have, you know, close to 26,000 legacy commitments, totaling nearly $1 billion in 7 years. And of that $1 billion, 100 million has already been realized, meaning those are liquidated cash gifts that are already distributing income for whatever purpose they were designated for. And then you'll see on there, it says legally formalized, which, you know, each year, this is, you know, the first year you try to get 18 commitments. And the second year you try to get 18 commitments but you also try to formalize the first year's commitments. In other words, if someone says they're going to put it in their will, the committee members are going to come back to the donors and say, this is great. Can you either give us a copy of the page in your will, or can you tell us who handles your affairs? You know, it's very low key. We're not very demanding in terms of what they have to do. We just want to be able to follow up to complete the gift at the appropriate time. So the other thing, I'll get to that later, but here's the Pittsburgh update. This is from March. There were 628 legacy commitments in Pittsburgh and 26 million. And that's after 2 years. We raised 26 million in endowments, and we already have 646,000 that have turned into cash gifts. And 37% of those have been formalized. And then, ta-da, here's Temple. Temple has 37, so they got 19 in year 1 and 18 in year 2. It's an estimated value of 1.1 million. I don't know what the current these are pretty much, I would say, unrestricted gifts to Temple. So I don't know if you know, Leslie, what the endowment was before this. I know there's a couple restricted endowments at Temple.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I wouldn't want to quote.
Yeah, but it's not unusual to double or triple the size of your endowment in a year or two, and that makes a huge difference. So 32% of those were formalized, and Temple received $10,000 from the program for reaching its goals. So that was, you know, it's not a ton of money, but it's something, and it's good incentive to keep doing it. I think a lot of us think that it's really hard to do, and that there's so much other fundraising and there's so many other things to deal with. But if you approach it just that you're giving somebody an opportunity to leave a lasting legacy in their name or in memory of a loved one. You know, a lot of people want to memorialize people and their families by doing something that will be there forever in perpetuity. They can do that and, you know, name something for them. And generally, they just haven't thought about it unless they get asked. And they're allowed to say no, so it's not so hard. This is what it looks like, the declaration of intent that a person who decides they might want to do it would sign. And it's not a legally binding document. It is the only thing that we require in terms of the goal of getting 18 letters of intent. So you can change your mind. We hope you won't, obviously. And the really amazing thing that I think none of us realized when we had some issues, you know, whether we should do this program or not, is that everybody's working together on this. This letter of intent isn't just for Temple Emanuel. In that blue box on the top right, it lists all the agencies who are participating in the program, and the last line says other. So somebody who is doing their will and leaving money to the Temple and maybe leaving money to the JCC, they can check off all the boxes that they're doing, and each place will get credit. And I know there was at least one, Leslie, I think, that where somebody else got the gift and they checked off Temple Emanuel. So people it's kind of nice. It's making people think about all of their philanthropy and maybe reminding them that there are, you know, more than one thing that they want to do.
Absolutely.
So
and just to make a plug, this form is available on our Temple website, or you can reach out to any of us, but it's an online form, or you can submit it online, you can print it out, really easy to do.
Yeah, and it's also on the Federation's website too. So it's all over the place. And then, you know, just the way the program works in year 2, you would sign a confirmation form just saying, and this gets to your question of how, you know, different ways to endow your gift. If you look in the middle there, I don't know if I can make it bigger, if it's, you can leave a gift in your will. It can be a percentage. You can leave 1%, 10%, whatever you'd like in your will. You can make the temple the beneficiary of a retirement plan, which is always a really good asset to give away because of the double taxing that you get at your death. There's a tax benefit to using a retirement plan rather than just leaving a bequest of cash in your will. You can give away an existing life insurance policy, or you can buy a new insurance policy where you would make Temple the owner and the beneficiary of it. And then when you do that, the premiums are tax deductible, and the death benefit is much higher than the total premiums that you pay. So, you know, we get into that kind of a discussion with people, and I don't know if Betty Jo's comfortable talking about how she's doing it or did it, but there are ways to maximize the gift. So you might say, I'm going to do something in my will, and 5 years down the road, you may decide, you know what, I think I'm going to pay this out of my retirement plan, which is perfectly fine. Some people just want to do cash, and they may just say, I'll give you $10,000 right now if you quit bothering me about this, which is, that's totally a good option too. And I think Temple established a Temple Emanuel Life and Legacy Fund. So you can even do smaller amounts and just contribute to this pooled fund. You know, if you want to put in anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, that just to be able to participate, that's a fine way to do it.
Right. We do have that fund set up at Federation.
Oh, terrific. Okay. There's charitable trusts, which get a little more complicated, but we'd be happy to explain how that works. A charitable remainder trust is really good for retired people who maybe want to generate a source of income for themselves in an environment where the interest rates are really low. You can get a charitable remainder trust. If you're, let's say you're 75, you can earn maybe 7% on a charitable remainder trust, where you get that annual a payment every year, and then whatever's left goes to charity. So these are after lifetime gifts for the most part that won't impact your current income. You can give gifts of real estate. You can retain a life estate. And I'm just kind of covering the whole spectrum without getting too deep in this. Some people say, okay, you can have my house when I die. They can retain a life estate in that house and then give the house to basically what happens is they say Temple can have the house, and the house gets sold, and the proceeds establish a fund in that person's name to be, you know, so there will be a gift every year to Temple in that person's name. One great way to give to charities through appreciated securities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, rather than cash, because those gifts are, you avoid paying the capital gains tax on them. You donate them, they get sold. You're giving them to a tax exempt entity, so there won't be any capital gains. And then you can repurchase the stock and have a higher basis in it. So it's kind of a win for everybody. So there's all kinds of things you can do. And we're happy to talk to anybody, even if you're just, you know, want to have some information to make a decision down the road. That's totally fine. So I think those are the most ways, and there's probably other ways too that we haven't covered.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of different options. And like you said, we know that you are a resource for that. Our team leader, Matt Schwartz, is also very well versed in a lot of these things as well for us. So, and interestingly, our current legacy donors of the 37, they range in age from mid 30s to 90s. So often people think about this as something, you know, you don't start thinking about until you're of a certain age, but we've actually had some of our younger members already make that commitment. So Betty Jo, as part of our team, I know that you've had the opportunity to talk with some members. So can you share a little bit about what that's like and what that conversation is like and what you've kind of heard from people as well?
Sure, I'd be happy to. One of the reasons that my husband and I decided that we would be part of this is because our daughter-in-law asked us, and that was a great incentive, and they had already made their commitment. And when Kate explained how easy it was to do this, because of all the different ways that Sharon just listed, many of them very, very painless. It certainly wouldn't change our lifestyle today to make this commitment. It just made so much sense. It was something that would be very rewarding for others down the line, but it would be a very easy way to commit. And so that's one of the reasons why I joined the committee, was to be able to communicate that to my contacts, my cohorts, and say, hey, you really ought to think about this, because it's a very painless way to do something that's really important. And so many of the people that I talked to initially, they thought, well, our kids aren't part of the community anymore. They don't live here. Why should I do this? And that was really easy for me to answer, because just like Temple Emanuel is central to the Jewish community here in Pittsburgh, and in a smaller sense, the South Hills, where their children may be or where their grandchildren may be, you would hope that there were life and legacy commitments for their communities, and that their children and grandchildren would benefit from the generosity of those in that community.
And people do move, right? So
Right. We came together as a community, and Rabbi Aaron is doing a phenomenal job of reaching out to other community partners, and it sends a message. People are curious, they learn about Judaism, and that just makes us more secure in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think there's much that I can add. Thank you so much to both of you. As we said at the beginning, if anyone is interested in learning more about the Legacy Program, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Betty Jo, Matt Schwartz, and our other team members. We're happy to speak with you. Sharon, thank you for giving Temple the opportunity to be part of this program. And we look forward to building our legacy as we go forward. So thank you both.
thank you.
Thank you.